and the current, not that I submitted, the fuel adjustment order from the past and the current elements of the fuel adjustment charge. And so I got that, and then I returned a response to that to them. I got a copy of a letter from Representative Aldon to the governor concerning regulatory stability. A copy was sent not only to me, but also to the CPUC board chair of that letter. I got a notice from the governor's office concerning the governor's appointment of myself and Mr. Kittigwa reappointments to the commission. So those will be pending before the legislature. We have to get approval from the House and the Senate again. I transmitted 3 orders that I prepared to CPUC. One of the orders was starting the regulatory dockets. I have dockets 1, 2, and 3. Docket 1 is the docket that deals with the power rates. Docket 2 deals with water, wastewater rates. And docket 3 deals with other regulated entities, such as IT&E and DOCOMO. Copies of those went to the CPUC and our hearing administrator. Also, I did an order concerning accepting the filing of CPUC's rate petition to get that started. If you remember at our last meeting, we have been waiting for supplemental information before we considered the filing effective, even though they filed it, I think it was in November, wasn't it? November or something like that?
October 30th.
Huh?
October 31st.
Pretty close. And we continued to ask for supplemental information. And even the last set of information that was provided, according to our consultant, didn't appear to be complete. But I had agreed to go ahead and consider the filing as accepted, transmit the matter to the administrative hearing administrator, and he would then request that supplemental information through his orders and through discovery. And I think that's what he's doing. I also transmitted an order concerning net metering, as we had talked about before, the requirement of CPUC to do a report on reconciliation on their net metering customers and the credits, the end of the year credits, and begin paying those customers. And that was transmitted to Mr. Watson, as well as the hearing officer. Mr. Watson, I'm going a little out of context here, but I think there's a good time to deal with this issue. I've got to notice that during your last board meeting, which was just a few days ago, it was indicated that you weren't aware of whether or not the commission had entered an order.
No, we were aware. They just asked for clarification, procedural to Mr. Ernest, attorney.
All right.
But they were aware, and we'd actually, the board had actually approved payment and reconciliation in that metering before the order came from CPUC. So we were already in that process. I'd already directed staff to start the process, and we got the approval for a payment from the CPUC board before your order came down. But they were also aware of your order, and I was aware of it as well.
And I think they should have been aware, because I appeared at a CPUC meeting, and I had my picture plastered over the front page of the newspaper of that appearance, where I told the board that net metering had to be reconciled, otherwise there was going to be a penalty. Okay, so they were aware of that.
Yeah.
The written order hadn't come out at that time. I didn't do that until after our last meeting.
Right.
Where I issued that order, and then the order followed our meeting where I put in the penalty provisions. Okay, you know, one more item that relates to that is, see if I can find it here real fast. I'm gonna take a minute. I've got an order from the commission back in 2016. One of the last orders of the commission. It had several items in there, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. This is why I consider this really serious. Item number 3, net metering. On or before August the 1st, 2016, CUC shall file with the commission descriptions of the billing and annual reconciliation methodologies employed pursuant to the code, certification that it has duly adopted and implemented these methodologies, will continue to conduct annual reconciliations, and has initiated a process by providing consumption and production information and the completion date of its first annual reconciliation cycle. So all the way back in 2016, the commission was ordering CUC to reconcile these net metering accounts, which would include payment of the credits at the end of the year. And I'm just flabbergasted that that order has been completely ignored, and it required us to come all the way to this time right now to get that done.
I was surprised as well.
We're going to, that's on the agenda, so I'm not going to go into that right now, but we'll talk a little bit about that on the agenda, because I want to know what the status of that is and where we are on that. Okay. I got a motion, I got a notice of a CUC special board meeting that was being held on January the 30th. I got a notice from CUC concerning the February fuel adjustment charge. I got a letter to the commission concerning the Agape school issue. And you'll see that that's on the agenda here. So we've got to revisit that, Mr. Watson, again,
Yeah.
okay? Unfortunately, we've been dealing with that for a long, long time. So we'll deal with that. I got a copy of a draft pre-hearing schedule for the rate case from the hearing administrator. And my understanding is now he has actually finalized, or they're in the process of stipulating to an adjournment. Is that right, Mr. Ernest?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the hearing administrator has been very diligent, and both of the parties, I believe, have agreed in principle. The hearing administrator sent us a question asking if we could lock it in, and I'm just waiting for approval from Mr. Watson before I respond. I imagine I'll do that sometime. I was hoping to do it today, but meetings would be so long, so I'll probably do it over the weekend or Monday.
Okay, I've got that on the agenda too, so we'll deal with where we are on that as well. Later on in the agenda.
Yes, sir. The gist of it is the parties have agreed to basically the discovery up until March, and then going forward, we would just wait for a further order of the hearing administrator.
Okay, we'll talk about this later and when we get into the agenda. I don't want to do this, get into in-depth discussions on things while we're just reviewing the correspondence that we received right now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. I appreciate that. We got a complaint packet from Dr. Gene Oden concerning a billing dispute he has with CUC. We'll deal with that on our agenda as well. I got a notice from CUC of a regular board meeting held on February the 10th. We got billings from our consultant and our hearing administrator for the month of January. I got a letter from CUC together with attachments indicating that the Coast Guard penalty assessments that we discussed in our last meeting, several $100,000 have been taken care of. either through payment, and also it was taken care of through a settlement agreement, which has all been paid off from the information I got.
Yes.
And thank you, Mr. Watson, for providing that to us as we requested at our last meeting. Thank you. I got a letter of CUC concerning the financial statement for the fourth quarter. And that just came in a few days ago. So I've only been able to distribute it to our commissioners just recently. So they've got that now, fourth quarter. And I sent it out to you. Yeah. So you should have a copy of that in your email. I sent it out this morning again as well. Okay. Mr. Mendiola, Mr. Camacho, Mr. Kittiquah, please let me know if you didn't get that fourth quarter financial statement. CUC financial statement. I got a fourth quarter. Well,
I have not received.
What's that?
I have not received, and I'd like to look that forward if they can.
Would you check your email this morning?
Okay.
I resent a copy this morning
Okay.
to everybody, so it should be in all of your emails.
Thank you.
I got it, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Mr. Mendiola? Did you get the,
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
you.
Yep.
We got a procurement filing for change order number 1 to the Greco contract. I've identified it as procurement filing 03-26. Before I had asked Ms. No to leave that numbering blank so I could number it within the commission itself. So I've numbered it 03-26. That was only filed recently as well. That was only filed on the, she has a filing date of the 9th, but we received it on February 10th. So, all of you on Zoom, we may have a power outage again. I think we're on generator right now. I think they might have switched back. Made a switch back, so we may be switched back. So if we lose you, we'll have to reboot again. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. I got a request from the Senate concerning CUC's rate study and matters concerning their fuel adjustment recurring in a petition, and I think that's because the newspaper article. Where is it? I keep seeing all these newspaper articles and I wonder what's going on. I love this. I guess I'm like people. Where is it? Right here somewhere. Here. PUC approves FAC recovery petitions CPUC, February 10th. We still haven't, we're still waiting for a final fuel adjustment charge report, let alone a petition. Why are the reports in the paper indicating that we did petition when we haven't even received the petition? And that's the 10th, we're now at the 13th, so even if a day or two delays. But it's interesting that we continue to get notice of all these things through the newspaper instead of through CPUC.
But it was approved to take it to the CPUC board by the CUC board.
Okay,
And that it precedes coming to you. So they wanted to, approve of our methodology and what we are requesting
okay,
before we brought it to you.
okay. We're not gonna, well, even though we have unilateral authority to deal with fuel adjustment charge on our own, we've been waiting, as you know, for at least 2 years for a fuel adjustment reconciliation report. We've seen reports that have been made to the board, CUC board, but we haven't seen any final reports to CUC. And I've seen a final report that was made to the board maybe a month, 2 months ago.
That wasn't necessarily, that was to that date,
Well, it said final on it, if I remember.
right?
Looked like final to me, but okay, to that date,
I think there's been some adjustments since then.
even after that, okay. But yeah, I mean, we've been waiting and waiting
But
for
it-
that
it is-
report.
It is complete now, so hopefully economics.com will be online to answer questions on that as well.
You know, I sent out an invitation to them, both Robert and Dan declined the invitation.
Oh, I forwarded an invitation to them too.
Yeah,
Believe they're
Well,
traveling today,
Okay.
so maybe
Oh,
that's
they're-
why fine.
they're on the way today. That explains. it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're usually
Oh, yeah.
pretty
It's hard to do it from 35,000 feet up.
Although they could, now you got internet on the airline. Let me bring up, one thing I found as well here. Just for your, information and your attorney's information on this. Let me see here. Oh. In this newspaper report, it indicated that CUC was including a Greco rental in the fuel adjustment charge reconciliation report. Obviously, that's gonna be an issue that we're gonna deal with, so I'm not making any decisions on it yet.
Exactly.
When it comes to us, we'll deal with that particular issue.
Yeah.
But the other issue on that goes with that is which type of compilation is being used and which is appropriate, whether it's the amount that had been invoiced and the amount that has been received, the cash has been received. And I should point out that the commission has received an opinions waive. This issue came up in 2016, 2015, 2016. And that's what I'm looking for here. Let me find this real fast. And that, right? Give me just a second here. You have so much stuff here that I got to deal with. I've got discovery in a prior docket. Here it is. And this is a memorandum from the hearing examiner in October 15, 2015. Mr. Ernest, you may be interested in this. This is in your CUC records. Recently conducted review of CUC's fuel charges for the period October 2011 through May 2015 establishes that the electric customers have been overcharged by more than $8 million. And
Or charge. No.
there's a lot in this, but this is one. There's also discovery, Mr. Ernest, within your CUC records on these rate dockets, where Georgetown had provided to the commission a pretty lengthy bit of testimony indicating why the commission should consider a invoiced basis computation versus a cash basis competition. And from what we've seen from the preliminary reports that have been given to CEC on this issue, it appears that if you take out the Greco rental of approximately 9 million and do this on a invoiced basis, the customers of CUC have overpaid by several millions of dollars. I mean, in 2011, 2015, it was 8 million. They've been paying the same rate since 2018. So this is a pretty big issue that we're dealing with here. And, you know, as you know, Mr. Watson, the duties of the commission are to ensure that the ratepayers pay a fair and reasonable amount for their rates. And certainly if they pay too much, they're entitled to a credit. Now, we don't know. We haven't looked into this. Our consultant hasn't started decision-making on this, but these two issues are out there, and these are serious issues. Okay. CUC overcharged its customers by more than $8 million. This is an opinion that came out in 2015 and was provided through a memorandum of the hearing examiner on October 15, 2015. So the other issue that I think is interesting, and I'll give you a little hint on this, Mr. Ernest, as you're probably doing all the heavy duty lifting on this issue. I've got a September 22 fuel adjustment charge overview given to CUC by economist.com. It has all the elements of the fuel adjustment charge in it. I don't see an Greco rental charge that's incorporated within the fuel adjustment charge, either in the past or going forward. And CUC was renting generated from a Greco in September 2022, right? But it wasn't included in their initial reports. So this issue is just coming up. The other issue that I understand from my questioning of Mr. Jackson during the last meeting was that the current rate petition that we have before us for consideration, those rates include the Greco rental payments. So that means that those Greco rental payments are considered by CUC with rate petition as administrative expenses, not as fuel costs. So I think, you know, I don't know what's going on within CUC on this whole issue of $9 million on Greco rental costs, but these are serious arguments that we're going to have to deal with. And I think we're going to talk about this a little more during the agenda, but we're not going to make any decisions now. I'm sort of giving you a sneak peek before we get into this issue. And quite frankly, I haven't decided yet whether to hand this whole issue over to an administrative hearing examiner or whether we're going to deal with it through hearings ourselves here, which we have the ability to do as well. So once we see a report, once we see an actual petition, we'll start dealing with it. All right, we're waiting for it. And I tell you what, the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because of this newspaper article. I know you don't have power over what's being published in the newspaper, but I don't know whether it means that the Mariana's Variety reporter just is not understanding what's going on within your CUC meetings, whether he's got it wrong, or whether he heard correctly and or whatever. But it's sort of bothersome that we see these reports and it gets on the front page of the newspaper, and then I get senators calling me from the legislature saying, what's going on with the fuel adjustment charge? because we all know that that's a hot topic right now. It's a big issue, not only with the legislature, both sides, both houses, but also with the governor and the ratepayers. So, hopefully we can get this resolved, pretty quickly. Okay, I also got a, copy of a status report, that EPA submitted to the federal court in the stipulated order cases. And so that's on file, and also I sent an email to Mr. Watson and the chair concerning the net metering order. Because after I read this in the newspaper, I emailed you another copy of that order, as well as your email to me of January 21, indicating that you had a copy of that order. So, that's it. Are there any other correspondence pieces that any of my other commissioners have? Let's start with you, Mr. Angelo, Vice.
I was just alerted by a Gopi school via email about again, a delay in their connections, and we'll discuss it later in the agenda.
Okay. Anything else from you, Mr. Camacho?
Chairman,
Or anything
we
you
received
got?
a copy of correspondence from Mr. Ernest this morning. Or I'm sorry, I think it was yesterday, late yesterday, about contract review, but I haven't really gone into it yet. I didn't get the chance to look at it.
I think that was the 2012 amendment to the contract review done by the commission in 2012.
Okay.
Mr. Mendiola, any discussion or correspondence from your side that you've gotten informally or through the mail?
Not at this time.
Mr. Kittigwa?
None. None, Chairman.
The floor is now open for public comment. Mr. Odom, welcome.
Thank you.
Odin,
Odin.
yes,
Can you hear me okay?
we can. There's a microphone up there.
My knees operated on me tonight, so a little wobbly. We're all gonna go through that. No.
There are more chairs in here for you sitting back there, standing back there if you want.
I guess whatever, age creeps up on all of us. I lost a couple of dear friends and here, I'm up here with the building on the corner.
Mr. Odin, I'm gonna ask you to speak up.
You can't hear me?
I've got people on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
And there's
Can you hear me now, the people on Zoom?
Mr. Camacho,
Yes.
can you hear Mr. Odin?
Okay,
I'm getting
great.
a
Which
finger up
Camacho
for-
is this? Is that a board member?
He's a commissioner.
Commissioner, okay.
Mr. Mendiola from Tinian, he indicated he can hear you. Mr. Kittigwa, can you hear Mr. Odin?
Yes, loud and clear.
So
Greeting commissioners, thank you for having us and thank you for allowing us this opportunity to speak today.
let me stop you for a minute. I see people back there. I've got some chairs up here. You want to come in and sit down?
I'd love to.
Okay,
There she would. Standing for one of these bureau meetings is can be cumbersome. Anyway, I was saying that Olapai and a few of my friends have passed this year, so we know that we're all here for a limited period of time on this earth, and I think we need to be kind to one another. And I think we need to work together on these issues that we're here to discuss today and not be in opposition to one another. And we don't want to feel like we're the bad guys as customers and ratepayers. And I think that the entire, because I've talked to the heads of the Senate and the House and others members, understand that we're going through a transition right now where the ratepayers are considered the bad guys, and we don't want to feel that way. feel like we're supporting CUC. And we're the reason you're in business. If we weren't here, you wouldn't be here. Let me introduce myself. I'm Doctor of Medicine, Medical Medicine, Dr. Gene Eagle Odin, a former oncologist, resident of the CNMI for 38 years, an investor with 170 properties on both Saipan and Rhoda. We're in good standing. We have been the entire time. Former owner of the Mango Hotel and Resort with 76 suites, starting in 2008, 2009. We have a dispute with CUC that runs into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, $175,000. And that dispute is over something that happened 12 years ago. And that's what we're here to address. And we've talked to many people in government about this, and they all agree with me, but they haven't done anything. So we're here to see if we can push that along with the Honorable Chairman Chirac and the other members that are listening in on Zoom. So 12 years ago, apparently CUC forgot to read 2 meters. So my first exhibit is this picture that we have used before in administrative hearing meetings of 42 meters on a single wall. And yet somehow 2 of those meters were not read in the 12 to 20 year ago period. We're not talking today, we're talking 12 to 20 years ago. So how do we find out about this? So suddenly, just 5 years ago, we received a demand letter in the mail, not a bill, not an itemized statement, not a monthly rates, but a demand statement, a total summation bill for just 2 of 42 meters. Now, apparently 2 of 42 meters was able to consume $275,000 worth of electricity in the period of time when we were paying our other 40 meters monthly. Didn't occur to us because we should have probably sit down and went back there. We thought that was CUC's business. They knew what they were doing. Apparently they did not know what they were doing. So CUC didn't catch for 12 years that they weren't reading 42 meters. They were only reading 40. So we should have maybe gone back, but we didn't think to do that, and counted the meters and itemized our bill and said, oh, this bill relates to this meter and blah, blah, blah. We thought it was fair and honest, which it was not fair and honest. And so what happened was we received a bulk sum billing for $275,000 in 2021. The dispute we feel is erroneous, fabricated, not based on actual utilization. I have a statement here from CUC that I'm looking for. Who's that? Anyway, I apologize. Here it is. Where CUC said these 2 electric meters were never updated in our system. So this is this is CUC's admission. Therefore, they were never billed. They were not functioning, meaning they were not working. We finally updated the meters, meaning they finally went out and fixed the meters. And we finally billed the account. So this $275,000 bill is a lump sum bill. Who in this room would like to get a bill for 12 years ago for lump sum? No real justification, no real itemization of that bill. But who in this room would like to go to their house today, open their mailbox, and receive a bill for $275,000 for something that they had paid the other 40 meters consistently for 10 years? Anybody want to raise their hand and say you'd like to receive a bill for $275,000? I don't think so either. I didn't. So what happens here is that this becomes incredulous. It's amazing how this could have possibly happened. So we start calling around. So how can this be true 13 years later after the fact? There's been 4 owners of the building and those meters. There was a Korean school, there was Mango Resort, there was Best Sunshine Casino, employees, housing, they paid the bills for a period of time. And then there was Pacific Rim Properties out of Guam, which purchased the building in 2021. So I haven't owned the building through my company, Blue Lagoon, in quite a number of years, and yet still, 3 owners later, I get these bills, and I get words on the bills, no explanation, no detail, final notice. Who in this room loves to receive bills? Final notice. Nobody. So we're kind of upset about this, obviously. So there's never been any explanation by CUC. We have been left to figure this out for ourselves. We have never received a spreadsheet. And I read you what CUC said. And the other thing that was a little interesting, but it's a smaller point. One meter was 102,000 and the other one was 75,000. So we have no idea why the meters would be off so much when the average meter reading for our 40 meters was $300 a month. So there's no way 2 meters would have come up to $275,000. Do the math. Anybody in this room can do that math at home on your own bill. $300 is not an unreasonable amount out of 40 meters. So 40 times 300, we're paying every month. But then all of a sudden, magic number, 275 appears, 1,000. So we start disputing the bill. And that's when this senior person in customer service at CUC told us what I read you, that those meters were never working. They were never in the system. They were faulty, other words to the same extent, meaning then how could they come up with this bill? And they finally said that they were estimates. Oh, okay. Well, it wasn't even compared to the other 40 meters, we can tell you that. And what's so shocking about this, it gets worse, is that people like Coca-Cola has been to court, so it's public knowledge, with a $575,000 bill that went back 20 years. So somehow CUC is emboldened to feel that they can do this. Now here's why, and here's where it gets tricky and interesting for those legal minds and those who like to hear about these sort of things. CUC passes its own statutes. They suggest to the legislature what they think is fair. And they feel that it's fair and it's in the statutes. And I have my lawyer here today to explain that to you. This is James Kingman, who was in charge of corruption and fraud investigations for the Attorney General's office. He's come back now as a private lawyer. He's my private lawyer in today. Thank you for coming, James. And so part of their stick, CUC stick, is to pass these statutes that they can go back, and the statutes say so. And the statutes have the effect of a law, and they govern us people. That they can go back as far as they want to. There's no limit. 100 years. They just dig up these old bills and give you estimates of what you spent 99 years ago on that day for that year. And also, they have specific language in a separate little statute that's only 1 sentence long, that there is no statute of limitation. Well, I went to law school. Many people who have been in business, many people who have been out in the world know that there's a statute of limitation on almost everything, including human life. And so to have no statute of limitation to how far and how many errors CUC can make, they can still go back. They have another statute, well, since I said errors, that says, doesn't matter if we made an error, doesn't matter if we're negligent, we can still come back and bill you. Well, that's wrong. If I make a mistake, I'm going to tell my customer, I made a mistake 12 years ago. I can't possibly bill you today because it was our mistake, right? Joe Tens does the same thing all the time. The drugstore here on the island I've dealt with. If they make a mistake, if they have the wrong price on the shelf and their computer says a different price, they give me the lower price. We have to be consumer friendly. to go back 12 years and say, it doesn't matter about our mistakes. You still owe us $275,000. So anyway, that's why I'm here today. Now, I've covered that. Now, another thing that we've talked about up in the legislature with some of the members is this fuel surcharge. We have bills, for example, and I'm sure everyone in this room has bills. Everyone in the legislature that I've talked to has bills in their home bills that say things like electric usage, $600, fuel surcharge, $1,200. Well, what's that $1,200? Where does that come from? What kind of magic algorithm do you use to come up with that? Now, most people in the world price their products fairly. GoTen does, for example. I do. People want to know how much it costs to stay at Mango Resort. It's $109.95. All of the worldwide oil companies who CPUC buys oil from indirectly or directly price their gasoline and their oil and their diesel fuel at a certain fixed price. Now we can take that price per kilowatt, multiply it on my bill. Every bill I have homes in Texas. I have home. I'm not trying to hide that I have other properties and that I'm fairly well off, but I still look at my bills normal if the bill has any detail on it. I can take the kilowatts, look at the price per kilowatt, and see how much I'm paying. So that's what we'd like. We'd like to see CPUC go to the commission and say, we need to raise our rates 10 cents a month every month until we catch up. Fine. We know what we're expecting. We know what to expect. Rates are going to go up 10 cents on a kilowatt, if that's a number, I just made that up, until we catch up. Because the commissioner Watson, I don't know if he's here, I saw him in the newspaper. Who's Mr. Watson? Hi, Mr. Watson. Was saying that he was unable to collect. If he's in the legislature, ties Mr. Watson's hands, I think sometimes from what I read. If he's unable to collect past due late payments and interest from Commonwealth Health, and this is a quote out of the indirect quote, not quite exact, out of the newspaper, out of Mariana's Variety, he'll have to pass that $9 million on to us ratepayers. Hello? What? Some other customers not paying $9 million, and now I have to pay part of that $9 million? Why, Mr. Watson, they asked in the newspaper. Oh, because we're losing money. Well, congratulations. A lot of people on this island are losing money. Everybody, I think, is losing money. Everybody's laying off. Every week, there's a small store, ABC store, somebody closes. That's another 15 jobs. And yet, you know, this campaign and culture of being able to go after us is wrong. We're not the enemy, Mr. Watson. There were little widows went up to the legislature and testified during the Fair Rate Billing Act that got pushed through by Representative Vincent Aldon, who was very upset at CPUC. And she said, look, I didn't pay these utility bills at a certain rate for many years. All of a sudden, some CPUC person or semi-high level executive comes out to my house, sees that I have a nice house, and I start receiving $10,000 bills, like me, out of the blue. Well, we don't want that, Mr. Watson. We don't like that. We think that's ugly. We think that's wrong, and we think it's inhospitable. We're your friends. We pay your bills. We pay your salary. Treat us nice, please. What I'm trying to point out is the price of gas went up 10 cents again today. Why not raise the price of the electricity fairly instead of hitting us with an erroneous amount that's made up on some algorithm that only CPUC understands, called the fuel surcharge? We don't know if that's honest. We don't know if it's right. We don't know if it's fair. We don't know where that comes from. Nobody in the legislature does. I've asked them. I've asked the speaker. I've asked the president of the Senate. Nobody knows where that number comes from, Mr. Watson. You just make it up and pass it on to us. So those are some of the, and I'm almost done. So I think it's time to call CUC, Commonwealth Utilities, in. I think it's time. And the pendulum, I'm 80 years old. I've lost several friends this year. I mentioned, Olaf I, Mr. Kim up the street. Some good people that I've acted in movies with, Gene Hackman, Robert Redford. A lot of my friends have died this year. And I think it's time to, and all of us in our 80s, I'm 80 this year, all of us in our 80s have seen the pendulum swing from left, to right, to Joe Biden, to extreme regulation, to fair, more fair. Because the public, and it's written there in the Constitution, has the right to take back our government. That's why we have the right to bear arms in the Second Amendment. I have borne arms. I have worn a 45 on my hip when I've been back in Texas. I don't do so anymore. I served in the Vietnam War, came back a colonel. I think I know something about the right to bear arms. And yet, we don't want to get to that. We had mass protest in 1995 against the Food and Drug Administration. I was a doctor at the time. I was arrested in 1995. There were 65 other doctors, medical doctors, and MDs who were arrested in 1995. Why were we arrested? For things like Jonathan Winters outside Seattle for recommending teas and herbal remedies. He was arrested. To his patients, I was arrested. And the charge was that I said calcium is good for your bones. That was worth being arrested for in 1995. We said, this is wrong. The citizens got angry. We made sure. I put my company on hold. 4 other company presidents put their company on hold. My company was International Nutrition. It was a pretty big company at the time. We did over $1 billion in sales. We were not small. Neither were the other 4. We all went to bat. We all got citizens to understand the concept. The FDA wants to close down your ability to access herbal teas, vitamin C, calcium, etc. This was a drug cartel overreach. This was bureaucracy out of control, like CUC is today, out of control. We had 10,000 calls coming in to the House, 10,000 calls coming into the Senate per hour. They couldn't do business because the citizens were so enraged in 1995. Our bill, Citizens for Health was our organization. The bill was the Dietary Supplement Education Act. And it said that anything that is not harmful, that has been in use historically for 100 years, 1,000 years, 1 year, is allowed for the public to buy. We have not had a doctor arrested. Remember, there were 66 arrested in 1995. David Kessler got fired. We have not had the head of the FDA at that time. We have not had a problem. No doctors have been arrested. We need to do the same thing here. No citizen, no company that's trying to do business here should receive $275,000 bills. Stalwarts of the community, like Coca-Cola, should not receive $575,000 bills. We go to court, a kangaroo court, here inside CNMI. That's part of the statute. The first thing CUC requires, and have the strength of statute, that we must adjudicate inside. Guess who the judge is? It's a CUC paid employee. Mr. Scoggins was sympathetic to our cause, but he said, there's nothing I can do. They have the right for no statute of limitations. They have the right to bill you for any amount that they think was wrong. You got billed $175,000, but there's nothing I can do. So we're left to have to go to an expensive court proceeding. Coca-Cola did, and the judge sent the case back to CUC. We'll have our lawyer talk about that. See if I have anything else. I think that's about it. While I'm up here, anybody have any questions for me? I don't think that's my right to ask questions, but just in case I didn't explain something correctly, Is there anybody here that wants to have me clarify? So maybe that's better, not a question, but here's the kind of bill we get. And if you look at that, it's a snapshot. It's not a bill. It doesn't have any detail. It's a snapshot of a computer screen. And the bill up in where, like in Texas, where I receive a proper bill, and Texas Electric sends me notices and says, oh, did you notice that your electricity was up 23% this month over last year, same month? They try to help me cut down my electricity usage. This organization, CPUC, sends me a ledger. It's not a bill. It says right here, LEDGER. They just send me a snapshot of a computer screen. No explanation. Based on a snapshot of a computer screen, know how they got to that $101,000. I owe $101,000 on one meter. This is them still chasing me. 15 years later, still chasing me for improper billing, for their meters that didn't work, for their employees that didn't do their job, for their employees that came out to the site, didn't read the meters, didn't put any numbers into the computer, made up, fabricated estimates. Then they send me another screen, just a screen, all periods. All periods. Well, that's that statute that can go back indefinitely for 100 years. So all periods, ledger, $75,000. Have I made my point? This is unfair. It's out of control. It's the FDA in 1995. We need to rein in this criminal organization that is prying on the people just because the legislature will not allow them to CPUC to collect from some of their biggest customers. That's in the newspaper, like Commonwealth Health. So they can't collect $300,000, $400,000, $900,000 bills from Commonwealth Health, which should be paid for by the government, by the way, not by us ratepayers. Indirectly, it is through taxes, of course. But I'll close with saying, and I'm closing, I promise. The purpose of government is to do those things. As you know, we study this in law school. It's to do those things for the people that they cannot do for themselves. We set up utility companies because it's efficient. Turns out it's not efficient. My solar system that I put in my 3 executive villas down at the beach did not go down, does not interrupt my Zoom meeting. I never have a Zoom meeting go down. I never have a computer go down. When the island was experiencing island-wide blackouts last week, or whatever day it was recently, 2 or 3 days ago, we didn't even know there was a problem on the island with electricity. Solar and individual or solar systems should be encouraged here in the CNMI. The CNMI government should get on board and help CPUC convert all of us to individual or solar systems. That would be a much better way for us to govern our own lives, to be in charge of our own lives, and not have to pay all the expensive salaries of Mr. Watson, and all these meter readers that don't do their job. So these are all cushy jobs, meter readers, for example, that just get paid to go out and not really read the meters, but get a salary. Well, you know, that's inefficient. My solar system is so efficient, I don't pay anybody to put it to work. Once I paid the $60,000 to install it, it's been working perfectly for a year. And I get a $9 bill from CPUC. I guess that's administrative charge or something. My account open. I keep my account open with CPUC on my 3 houses down on the beach. These are executive $1 million residences that we wanted those people to have consistent electricity, not CPUC inconsistent electricity, not CPUC inconsistent billing, not CPUC erroneous, fabricated, made up billing. We wanted our customers to have regular electricity with no billing. Who wants no billing versus CPUC billing? Raise your hand. I don't see anybody wanting CPUC billing over no billing, but that's what you can have with solar. We should let the whole island have solar, not CPUC solar, because they'll mark it up 10 times. We should encourage people to have their own home solar system. Maybe there's a utility company that can help us come out and install those, come out and fix those. but we should have the right of our own electricity and water usage. Well, don't get me started on water, that's another topic. But I've finished with electricity today. I think Mr. Kingman would like to make some points about the case.
Excuse me.
Or Mr.
I'll introduce,
I'm sorry.
okay, thank you very much for your comments. We don't allow dialogue to go on
Oh, I'm so sorry.
between even, every once in a while, as a commissioner, we'll, talk to the person providing public comment. But generally, it's not normal,
Thank
and
you.
especially no dialogue between the commenters and the regulated entity that's here or the audience. We don't open that up for,
Yeah.
we'd be here all day if that happened. But I appreciate all of your comments. They're very, very well spoken. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sorry for that.
I will tell you this, please stay around, because if you have a copy of the agenda, you can see that we put your complaint on the agenda for at least a preliminary discussion on that. And, if you're gonna stay around, fine.
How long will that be?
Well, I don't know. We've got several items to go through. Let me tell you this. We probably won't be done. We won't get there for 30 minutes, so you're okay by that. If you wait for 30 minutes. Let me tell you this, which is what I was gonna tell you when we got down to discussion. You provided us a pretty good packet on that, very good, which had that decision from Judge Tenorio, which was several pages long, okay? One of the things I was gonna indicate when we got to this on the agenda, and I'm just doing this preliminary because you may end up leaving, but I'm gonna
I'll come
I'm
back.
gonna give you an instruction is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
What I want you to do is put a packet together, like you provided to us, and like you DH'd out to us as well, and deliver it to CUC. Okay? And I'd like you to be able to do that before the end of next week. That gives you,
Oh, yeah.
next week, that gives you, Monday's a holiday.
Okay.
So I think everybody's closed on Monday, but at least by Friday next week, give them a packet. Now, we're gonna provide some other discussion and instructions when we get into this issue, but I wanted to at least give you that instruction right now, okay? Okay, now, yeah, if you want to stay around, I would encourage you to do that because this involves your complaint.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back and just my leg. And, I just had some surgery on my legs, my knees. I replaced, and so I'm gonna go sit down someplace, walk around a little bit out in this hard chair. And then I'll come back in about 30 minutes.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Any
I look
other,
forward to it.
thank you
I'm
again.
gonna leave Attorney Kingman here who can answer some questions also, or maybe.
Well, any other public comment? Mr. Kingman has public comment, that's fine.
Or he may want him to also comment behind him. When I
Okay,
get back.
thank you.
Thank you. I'm James King. Let me grab the microphone here. Good morning, everyone. This will be brief. First off, I'd like to thank Chairman Srock, Mr. Angelo, Mr. Macho, welcome, and thank Mr. Kittigwa, and
Mr. Mendiola.
Mr. Mendiola. Okay, thank you. At the beginning of
Mr. Our Vice Chair. Okay, I missed that. Thank you.
At the beginning of any sort of public comment, I know it's customary to thank everyone. And I think there's a lot of advantage to that. It's the outward shows of respect are one of the things that I like the most about living here. But there's some downsides, one of which is that it can cut into time, often of which is very limited. And the second is it runs the risk of it just being a pro forma routine thing, which can undercut in some sincerity. I make a point of pride not to say anything I don't mean. So when I say thank you, I really appreciate it. I know that the commissioners have all been on this island for decades. I know that there have been lengthy periods where this regulator has not operated or done work. It's clear from sitting here this morning, hearing your correspondences, hearing the processes that are already going on that may not be known about the public, that the work of the commission is moving forward in a way that is more diligent and quite frankly, a real breath of fresh air. So thank you very much. Thank you for having this meeting to allow some public feedback about that, because I know so many of these discussions happen behind closed doors.
Before you go on, let me interrupt you just a moment. Unlike CUC, we don't limit our public comment time. So you can go. Now, if it gets to a filibuster of about 4 or 5 hours, I may say something.
I promise you that we will agree long before then that it is time for me to step away from the microphone. I am not here to plead the individual case of Blue Lagoon. That the specific facts and details have been laid out by Dr. Eagle-Oden. And what instead is important is the nature of public concern that the process laid bare. That is within the jurisdiction, within the mandate of the commission. Essentially, the CUC is obligated to show its work, and it doesn't. Whether it won't, or whether it can't, or some combination of both, doesn't really matter. Fact is, it's required to, and it doesn't. That's not only for the back billing, lack of statute of limitations, the estimates that they will claim somehow have a formula that no one is allowed to see, but also the fuel adjustment charge. Also, what appears to be on the agenda about contract review increases. Any of these things that can be hidden numbers, it appears that they run the risk of there being at least an appearance that there's no basis for the calculation. Now, that undermines the confidence in the ratepayers. It's what's encouraging so many ratepayers to move over to solar to minimize their reliance on CUC as much as possible. And it is an increasing point of friction for outside investors who are looking to be able to price what actually it would cost to do business on the side. And a pattern of arbitrary, unpredictable bills based on fuel costs, not pegged to actual increases or decreases in the price of fuel, and the potential for back billing that could include meters that have never even been registered without any sort of calculation for the estimate. These are things that deter legitimate investors doing their due diligence and coming here. 20 years ago, when they established this commission, there had already been 20 years of financial irregularities and mismanagement of CUC. That doesn't mean that the people in this room are responsible for such things any more than they are for 10 years ago or 20. But this is an ongoing matter of public concern that has established patterns. The institution has been shaped, and we can look at these patterns and determine what kind of institution it is. It still holds the presumption of regularity for the courts or administrative actions. It shouldn't. It should have lost that presumption long ago. The idea that an administrative hearing can identify that it is CUC who's at fault in all of the billing disputes during that process and say, but actually our hands are tied. CUC is not actually, despite the language that says shall, it shall do this. There's no punishment, there's no penalties, there's no requirement for them to do anything. So they can just years later produce a bill, what they call a bill. But because the consumer does have obligations. That can be put forward by the administrative hearing officer. And then they can go up for a petition to the court. And the court can say, our hands are tied also because this is just an administrative hearing, but here are all the equity reasons. Here are all the reasons this is unfair to this particular ratepayer. In that case, it was Coca-Cola, but the facts were exactly the same for BLRI. This is just this fall. This is not 20 and 40 year history. This is in the summer and this fall that Judge Tenorio said, here are the deficiencies in these letters that you are calling bills. These are why they are not bills. These are why this wouldn't trigger the billing dispute. I know that that's how that's characterized as the best way, but it does not fall under that procedure because these are not bills. Nevertheless, after two rulings from the court, 2 orders to the court to remedy these practices, BLRI and probably others received letters that were exactly the same as the ones 5 years ago. There's demanding a lump sum number, entirely ignoring what Judge Tenorio's orders were. So if you have a system where the administrative hearing process doesn't work. The courts feel like they don't have the ability to, for whatever reason, whether that's correct or not, at least in that type of procedure. There's legislative holdups, and there have been for a long time. There's not action by the executive branch. Then what happens is it falls to the commission. And the commission's mandate is laid out to cover ratepayers, but also to, as you know, as you pointed out, hold investigations, compel records, have testimony, bring these hearings forward in a way that is not happening. Those behind the door conversations and settlements and handshake deals that have gone on for so long, time to bring those out in the open, try to restore some of the faith in the process and the services that CPUC provides. I think that there have been calls for an independent audit. I think that is a reasonable thing to predict. I want to call for what has happened in governance studies. Essentially, this is an extractive industry. It has been set up to have selective enforcement, to have no real substantial due process review. It's a shakedown machine. Anytime there needs to be more operational costs, it is a possibility that they can just go to the maxes, like T-Bot coins that they can make. Unless you have enough patience and will and money to fight it, it's easier just to pay. At a certain point, the public will realize that there's no basis for these bills. And it will be fed up with it. And it will continue to move to solar, or we'll just not pay the bills. Now, there are a few mantras that I've heard many times whenever extractive industries are pointed out and the deficiencies are that I encourage you to ignore. One is the twin mantras of that's not my job, that's not your job. There are a lot of institutions in the CNMI that have overlapping regulatory authorities. They have stopgap measures, and that has allowed, just in CPUC and elsewhere, people to say, oh, but that's not actually my job. That's that agency over here. That's that person. Or when they see someone stepping in, they say, well, that's not your job to do. Ignore them. You know what your mandate is. Many institutions don't have the benefit of having an external public utility commission that can actually compel and investigate the issue works. You can't fix the entire island in every institution, but this one is in your ambit. If you just use the procedures they have, you can make real progress. It sounds like you started that. The second is this is just how things are done and how they've always been done. I can tell that that's not an acceptable answer to the commission. I encourage you, whenever those conversations start, to hold the line. It's not a role that is going to make anyone popular, even in a regulator that is dealing with a regulated entity that doesn't have the same histories and challenges that CPUC does. So I appreciate you pushing forward and ignoring that. And the last is not to dwell on the past. That is not an option when you're dealing with issues of public trust, ongoing obligations to courts, ongoing obligations to ratepayers, especially when you have a regulated entity that's willing to go back more than a decade to claim that it has the power to. We have to dwell on the past. We have to consider what's happened before to put us where we are. Every time there's a power outage, there is a glimmer of thought in everyone's mind on the island. CPUC is just keeping everyone in mind. The fact that that is a thought is a matter of urgent public concern, whether or not it has any basis. But that is absolutely what people are concerned about, that they feel like they have to comply with CPUC, because what are they going to run out of water, run out of power? That relationship with a public entity is not healthy or good for the CNMI. And the data points over the last 40 years have given the population many reasons to think that their best interests are not in mind when it comes to the idea that they are making it all up is going to require bringing forward evidence, going through documents, getting tested. But the belief that they're making it all up lines up with the problems in the field adjustment charge, these sort of retroactive unjustified billings, and the fact that they're just regularly stiffed by large government entities. because the government entities know. What are you going to do? Try to squeeze it out of us? Because if you're making it open, that's why these cans keep getting kicked down the road. I encourage that the provisions of the Fair Practices Billing Act, if they get filed in the legislature, it doesn't mean that that's the only entity that can go forward. That's something that the Utility Commission could do as well. I know based on just the short amount that I've seen this morning, that there is a real serious effort to address some of these challenges. DLRI is only one instance of a larger pattern. And so I hope that you seriously take some matters into concern. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kingman. I really appreciate your comments. Very well spoken. Thank you. Any other public comments? Mr. Benson? Vice?
Del Benson. I'm representing myself and my concerns. I was able to go to the CUC board meeting, the past few of them. And the last one I thought was good because they allowed board member Simon Sanchez, who was commissioner in Guam, was on the board, to respond to some of my comments and questions. And that's where maybe a little bit public gets a little frustrated because we feel it's, and I understand because boy, we can do filibusters right and left, and it's all complaints that really need to target solar. But some of it is the question of being able to get a response.
Mr. Benson, I'm going to stop you just a minute because it sounds like your mic is not operating.
Is the mic off?
I want to make sure that my other
How about
commissioners
now?
can hear you.
Oh, now it's, oh,
There you go.
okay.
Thank you.
I'm normally loud, but not this loud.
I have to make sure that my commissioners on Zoom can.
Oh, sure. Definitely understandable. So some of my comments, and they will be rhetorical questions because I know that they're not going to be answered. I understand that. My big concern, and there's a lot of discussion regarding, I'm addressing the solar right now. And, you know, I believe in solar. I do not believe it's the cure-all. We had previously a climate czar on the island that the religion of climate change, because I asked the question then, so how much carbon does Saipan produce compared to China? And, you know, it's a ludicrous question because it almost doesn't even exist. But if we're going to sacrifice and really increase costs and do all this stuff to be green, it really doesn't matter in the global scale of things. So bringing that, I wanted to point that out. Here in CNMI, we are concerned about the finances. And I know that Gene was mentioning that, the concern with the rates. I understand that rates out here will be more expensive because of our fuel source. And that's why there is the look at some alternative. The law that was passed, which was a political thing, the 20% needs to be renewables. Now that wasn't based on practicality or costs or anything. That was because we've had so much hype in the past over everybody going green and everybody going solar, not considering all the ramifications that go with it. The comment, Bob made the comment about, or was it Gene about, you know, everybody having solar. That's great, but how does that impact our backup system, CUC? Well, $9 a month is not going to cover the cost of CUC. So if we pushed everyone to have solar panels on their home, what are we going to do for really the main generator? Guam, their solar covers 6% of Guam, their power generation, and they're trying to up it to 50%. The footprint of energy that comes from solar is very large. compared to other energy sources. And my concern also, if we get locked into a 20-year solar contract, what's going to be happening with alternative methods that come forward that might be far cheaper and effective for our island? A lot of other consumers, we sit and look at CUC and we just pound on CUC. We didn't pound on CUC when they worked their tails off getting the power lines up. I guess that was, I heard, the tune of 93 million that was spent on our infrastructure, nautical power, whatever else after YouTube. I've mentioned that we need to progressively start underground power to eliminate that high cost, but they always say that's too expensive. But I'm just wondering how much has ever really been evaluated for key areas and slowly grow it. There's a lot of other places you go and you don't see power lines all over. And that destroys a lot of the beauty of our island, our trees and so on. And then typhoons are much more vulnerable to typhoons. CUC is going to have they're going to have some fixed costs. It would be curious to know what CUC's fixed costs are. Well, I would probably assume, say, the fixed costs are what we're billed presently. And we're very high. I calculated it's like 30 cents kilowatt. And I say that combining the leak charge and the charges. It's not realistic to just say, well, our power costs don't fix, but we have to have a fuel adjustment. Well, it just needs to be looked up at the same, but that's the price that fluctuates. Fuel fluctuates much more than the energy cost here, because if they change the energy cost every month, it's like a restaurant that has a menu that their prices go up and down on food at a weekly basis, but they have their printed menu as costs. So sometimes they benefit more and other times it costs them. And I know that's the same thing with CUC. Of course, there's the concern with it really being a government entity. Now, people say, oh, the private sector, they're going to get profit and they're going to take it. But we have still utility commissions. We also looked at the efficiency, and with due respect to our CUC people, I've talked in the past to other directors, and I said, Einstein stated that we can't solve the problems that we help create. And so I was suggesting some years ago of an outsider coming in and saying, let's redo, I'm just going to say operation. This isn't fuel rates, this isn't operations, this is just structure. We need to start over from the start to the flipping the lights, turn on the water, and redo the system, because I think things get piled up and don't get removed. I see the right hand doesn't know what the left hand does, because we had some nightmare experiences trying to get some power on, and people coming, not seeing it, not checking it, not communicating. And then customer service takes all the heat for whatever happens in operations that don't get managed. And so there's a lot of inherent problems that it isn't a magic wand. And it's not going to just automatically lower rates. So going back to my concern with if we have, if our load is 42 to 20 megabytes in a month, in any hour, higher consumption, lower during lower hours at night. And that's what I understand. And we supplement that with, and it is a supplement because we have to have generators operating. So when a cloud comes over and shuts down half of the solar field, the CUC's got to kick in. And then the question is, will it be married with a SCADA system that actually helps regulate the generators with the power structure and be simultaneously? And I don't know if that's CUC has that capability. I don't know if that's in the RFP with the third-party energy producer that will basically sell power to CUC. They will at certain rates, they've got to have their return on investment, their capital costs, on all the other things to marry the systems and create the system. I look at a comment was mentioned to me, and I don't know if this is real, but I heard that I was told that this is $150 to $200 million investment. And so my mind immediately goes, so what are they going to have to build CUC? 20 cents? Well, if they're going to build CUC 20 cents or 18 cents to make their profit and their capital, and again, this is all hypothetical, but I think I would assume that these are questions that you have on paper and know. Then how much is CUC going to have to charge? Now, Mr. Sanchez pointed out that, well, the utilities will lower the cost of fuel, which is our killer. To what amount? If Guam has only got 6% running and we're supposedly having 20, but again, is that when the lights are switched off? Is that when clouds are over? Is that when our apex of sun from 4 or 5 hours is our optimum load producing? And then the backup battery system. How many backups? I was told, up to 3 days. January, we had 22 days of overcast. I had a friend that lives in housing that he has full panels at his price right now. And he mentioned in January his price was full price because there wasn't power produced by the solar panels. And so I look at, again, down the future, we're locked into a system where our power actually goes up. Now, Mr. Sanchez mentioned that in Guam, the rates went down 2 cents. Okay, and that's just starting. We're going to give this other, and you'll be able to buy better, more 25% more efficient generators. But we're still going to have some very, very high costs in the country. Now, yes, we're an island. Yes, our Democrats are shrinking, which means our rates are going to go up because there's a flat, fixed cost for CUC. So unless they do massive layoffs and overhauls, they're not going to reduce their costs. It's only seen like the fuel costs are going to be reduced. So they're still going to. That's how much of the pie. I don't know. They ran some numbers of over 10 years. I think $700 million for energy from CUC. I'm not fully understanding. I'm not an accountant, so I can't run and really calculate that. But if CUC is now at 30 cents and they reduce the fuel by, if they're generous and could do that, 25%, which I question based on if we're only producing 120 megawatts per hour. There's many hours it's not going to be produced, and you have to produce excess enough power to store in batteries that have a duration. Typically, they're short term, they're for overnight. But again, if we have weeks without sun, then we're going to increase the cost. So what is CUC going to lower the cost? 25 cents? No. 5 cents? Maybe 5 cents is the saving power. And then add that to whether 18 cents is. So now we got 35 to 40 cents a kilowatt. That is my big concern. And it's like, yeah, you put out bids and you get these bids, and their bids are for profit. I did check with an individual I know in the mainland that does this. And I was telling him about how they were saying 150 to 200,000. How much? He goes, maybe get rid of it. And I said, well, what would you do? And he plugged it into a system and got his numbers. And it essentially would be a third to a fourth. And so sometimes when we get locked in, are we, well, maybe for who bid, and again, maybe there's a trust issue, because our government isn't very honorable in paying its bills. You know that for a fact. our government owes not just to CUC, but millions of dollars to vendors that have performed the labor and the work. And but you know, we at the whim of a political change, well, you're not our boys, we're gonna move our contract here, and so we undermine the confidence of anyone that wants to do business. I know businesses that will not do business with the CNMI government. Years ago, how many hospitals were we cut off from Hawaii on medical referral because we didn't pay our bills? And so that's a concern I have, especially if CUC gets burdened with of not being able to cover their costs. And then down the road, as we maybe see efficiency goes down, but it's expected that whoever that vendor is, if efficiency goes down in the panels, it's about 2 or 3% a year. But you know, after 5 years, when it's down, 15%, that they will add more panels to or replace. So whatever their idea is on the cost of power, it is going to be combined with the cost of CUC power. And I may be ignorant on this, I will acknowledge that. And the statement is made that, well, we won't know the costs are until we get the bid. Well, that's really dangerous. Because if you don't have a projection of knowing, but we do know now what the cost of CUC rent is now. And in many ways, it's probably seen as not as much. Yes, if our government paid their bills, if the hospital paid their bills, that would probably buy a new generator. But we're still going to have those costs for fuel. And, I mentioned there's nuclear, there's geothermal, there's others that really haven't been deeply explored because the pet energy of the day is solar. Wind, well, I hope we've never considered that. A bunch of ugly winds on how many times you've driven through California and you see these vast windmills, farms, and 2 of them are going, and the rest are standing still. And so there's a lot of factors, and I'm not by any means on the top of the knowledge chart, but I have been discussing energy and power for 20 years with an energy friend of mine, and we've always discussed what needs to be done with CUC. And the fact one person has an idea, you don't know if it's legitimate. That's why I bring up these questions. How much is the projected power going to be expected from the bidder? Are they going to have to lock in those power rates in their bid? If they've underbid, you award it to them, and they're not making the profit that they need. What is the consequence of that? How much is this actually going to reduce the fuel consumption for CUC? Especially considering that solar is a supplementary power source, and you still have to run the generators. And if everybody transitioned to their own solar panels, I think we'd have huge problems because we wouldn't have CUC backup power because they would be in the red all the time because of the costs that CUC has. And that's where if we had coal, and supposedly, I remember there was, I think Governor Palacios signed a thing with the energy czar that by 2050, we're going to be 100% renewal. Unless we get nuclear, geothermal, or wave, or something else, we're not going to be. That's a fantasy. And I think it's a false fantasy that we should not promote because it's not real. And there's still a lot of issues that are not resolved with present day technology. So there's where I lay my questions regarding the fuel costs related to solar, the impact solar really will have, and the burden CUC has is everybody, mostly in CUC, inherits a history. I know the biggest owner is a hospital, the biggest creditor. How much does the central government know? You know, I remember for years that the central government never paid its CPUC bill. So who pays it? Well, you either pay it through the government or you pay it on your utility bill. And I know a lot of people that don't even have use hot water because of the cost of a water heater. And yet, maybe our energy office, through collaboration with CPUC, someone, an educator, maybe we need to be taught about making down drain water systems that you can make. When I was in college, I had an alternative energy course, and we made a 4x8 down drain water that was used in the snow, and with copper, and it was a home DIY, and it produced plenty of hot water for this household. Things like that would be beneficial for our citizens, but a lot don't know it. I had a friend that just ran pipe against his tin roof, and that was hot enough during the day. He had it circulated in just a broken water heater. So there are things that maybe from the energy office and through education and through outreach with the college could teach our people some ways to just on the way of producing hot water, which would reduce the dependency on the cost of CPUC. But the conflict CPUC has is we don't want to lower energy bills. We can't because we have fixed costs. And so how are those fixed costs then even looked at? So it's really fixed costs versus bringing in another system that's going to charge a good rate for them to make their profit and to pay for $150 million over 20 years versus married to CPUC, who CPUC does the billing. And then what happens if they're short and they don't get paid? There's not a pay to the solar company. I understand some things happened in the past over utility companies in Rhoda and Tinian. And we have I understand there's a major energy producer of solar that wouldn't even bid because he had talked to the people in Tinian and felt like, no, I'm gonna get ripped. And that doesn't mean muscles. Gonna be ripped off. And so when you look at those things, and these may have been in discussion, I don't know, but I would like to throw that out there and hope that these issues are addressed and are communicated with the public. So there's not this, wow, what happened? My power bill, I thought solar. Because you ask anyone on this island, if CPUC got solar, would it lower prices? Everybody believe, oh yeah, it's free. No, it's not. Infrastructure is very costly. And it's not 100%. What is it? 25% of the sun and the storage and so on. So anyway, that's all I have to say, and I'll just pass the mic on to Eric. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benson. Appreciate your comments. And it's nice to see you. First time you've been at one of our meetings.
Sorry, I forgot about you guys. I just know CPUC, so
Yeah.
I had to chase that.
Yep. Any other comments? Mr. Representative Aldon.
Thank you, commissioners, for having this meeting today. I would also like to thank CPUC for being here. I'm gonna
stop you real quickly, if I may. Apologize. I want the record to indicate that that Miss Tina Ngo, the attorney for CPUC, has arrived, and she's sitting at her table together with the CFO for CPUC, Miss Betty Trelawney. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Vincent Aldon. I am the Chairman for Transportation and Infrastructure for the 24th Legislature. I'm not here to try to bash anybody, I'm just here to try to point out facts, right? And a lot of these facts are numbers and, words that came out of CUC. Okay, but I'm also going to quote, or say something about the law. So, with I'm supposed to be here to talk about the on old business, Section C status of CUC rate petition, and E the status of the FAC reconciliation and proposed fact filing. I was going to say something about the CPA solar bond, but that'll be another time, right? But under the law, right, CNMI Code, Title 4, Division 8, Chapter 1, Article 4. This is what it says, very first paragraph in subsection 8401 or 8441. Management. Quote, the executive director and board shall manage the corporation in a business-like manner so as to provide the most efficient delivery of its services at the most reasonable cost to customers. That's the law. It shall be managed in a business-like manner. Now, if we are to operate CUC in a business-like manner, right? I have this is from November 23rd, 2025, the latest arrears that CUC has incurred. Okay, CUC is owed. CUC is owed by the CNMI government. Okay, the CUC is owed by the CNMI government $36,408,265.52. That's how much the government owes CUC. Right? Now, on the residential and commercial side, CUC is owed $22,398,000 or $22,398,815.42. Altogether, that's $58,807,080.94. Okay. Now, this one. That's how much it's owed.
Speaker can.
Representing, is there a number for the commercial?
Yes. For the commercial rate, or for the commercial part, right? CUC is owed, this is just for commercial, $10,690,372.98.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, the CUC's operating budget or proposed operating budget, and this is coming out from CUC's citizen-centric report for fiscal year 2025. The total projected operating budget for the year is approximately $105 million. So somebody please make me understand, how is this being operated in a business-like manner when your projected budget is $105 million, but yet you are owed $58 million? That's half, is it not? That's half. How is that business-like manner? Because I can guarantee you, if this was an actual business, that is ran by private corporation, when that arrears that you are failing to collect has reached 2 million, somebody will lose their job. Okay? So, and let's just, this came up in the news, right? The consultants, right, recommended, this is from you, Commissioner, right? On January 18, 2026, quote, the consultant also recommended CPUC approval of a 13-year FAC reconciliation that recognizes a $9 million under collection and additional Agreco-related costs. That's from that news.
That's not CUC, that's not the commission.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then on the other news, February 10, 2026, this is from economist.com, added that a monthly FAC would better track fuel price changes, be easier to explain to customers to reduce administrative and regulatory costs, ease working capital strain, and reduce the size of true-ups for over or under collection. When I hear that word over or under collection, right? It's either you don't know, you practically don't know if you've over collected or under collected. But yet you want to increase the fact because you might think that you're under collecting. But yet, as you mentioned earlier, from 2011 to 2015 or 16, that you've been over collecting in the tune of $8 million. So if any proposal, and I'm requesting this through, to CPUC, that if CUC requests to increase rates for whatever reason, that it gets denied. Until such time that CUC gets completely 1000% audited on everything, and we see the true number from an actual utility auditor, then we will find out if you've been over collecting or under collecting. And I think that, anybody that runs a business, you want to do an audit on all your assets and all your expenses, so you know where you stand. Have you been charging your customers over or under? Have you been running your business properly? Have you been providing the right price to your customers properly? But the only way to find that out is to ensure that all your asset has to be audited so that you come up with a true price so that you can, and your expenses, so that your customer, you can pass on that information to your customers. That to me would be trying to figure out, are you managing your business like a business? Because without that, we're just throwing numbers up in the air and hope to God that it comes down and it's correct. And evidently it's not. It's not coming out correct. So I urge that the commissioners hold the line and not approve any increase on CUC. And then let's talk about this because this is a pass-through. Any rates, right, is a pass-through to the ratepayers. CUC owes OPA, Office of the Public Auditor, $8,148,213. Okay, but then again, how is it that CUC has failed to collect, over 30 million, but yet owes the government 8 million? Okay, and my question is that OPA 1% that CUC is charging, if you owe that government that $8 million, then where is it going? If you've been collecting and this is a pass through, and you've been collecting, you've been charging the ratepayers that 1%. How in the world do you owe OPA $8 million? That means all the times that you've been charging, you actually haven't been paying. The same as the government. You pay your taxes, and the government is supposed to pay their utility bill with the taxes that they collected, but evidently didn't. This has become a double taxation, and it's a hidden tax on CUC to the ratepayers. That's that. So that's the 1%. And here's the crazy thing about the 1% fiasco, and I don't even know, that's beside the point. But the CNMI Constitution mandates that OPA, this is the Constitution, receives $500,000 every year for their operation. Now, I know I'm not a financial wizard, but I know this. If CUC's operational budget is over $100 million a year, that means that CUC pays OPA $1 million for an audit, which I don't understand because the federal government requires CUC to submit an annual budget to begin with. So why does CUC have to pay 1%, of their operating budget to OPA that comes out to $1 million when that audit, from my calculation, is not worth half that much? So if CPA or OPA has been getting this $1 million, right? What are they doing with the rest of that money? Because I don't think that CUC should be paying 1%. I think CUC should be paying the actual cost of the audit. So if CUC is paying, if an actual audit is worth $40,000, then what the hell is CUC being required to pay 1% to OPA? And what does OPA does with that excess funds? From my understanding, being in the legislature now, CUC technically is being used as one, a political dumping ground, and two, as a cash cow. Okay, and I do not agree. Okay, I might not like the way it's operating, but anything is fixable. But do I believe that the ratepayers should be handed a hidden tax and being used as a cash cow and a political dumping ground? No, I don't think so. Not one bit. So I am trying to help CUC out, but under one condition. I will try my very best to help CUC to get rid of that DPW fiasco, okay? And this OPA fiasco and all of these other crazy things that have been going on with CUC in one condition. Get yourself audited. Get your desk audit, asset audit, and all the audit that needs to be done, get it done. And that's the only way that the public will know exactly what's going on with CUC. Without that audit, I'm sorry. I will keep going against you. And I don't want to do that. I want to try to work with you, but you have to be transparent and honest. This is practically crazy. And over years and years of mismanagement. I hope that we stop. Can we change? Yes, we can. But let's not change to make things worse, but make it better. Can we get a lot of this government IOUs and you owe her and her owes that and God knows who is owing who? Can we stop it? Yes, we can. It just needs better management and better legislation. And I'm all for that. But I'm not trying to make somebody else win in the, at somebody else's expense. It just has to be fair. Is that too much to ask for? I don't think that's too much to ask for at all. Just be transparent, be honest, put up a dashboard and show the people everything. And that way they know and they have confidence, and then they can trust you if you show everything. Open it all up. No more skeletons in the closet. That's all I ask for. And I'm pretty sure that's all the ratepayers are asking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Aldon. I'm going to break protocol a little bit and give you deference as a member of the CNMI legislature to respond to you for a little bit. I want you to understand that we, the commission, has made a request on the public auditor's office to perform audits on CUC. We've made several requests. In fact, meeting with them in person. The response from the public auditor's office is they don't have the manpower to do it. They didn't mention, I don't believe they mentioned the money. It was the manpower, is that correct?
Well, they said that they had several audits ongoing. I said, when would freed up? They said sometime late 2025, 26. Then I reminded them that under our statute, they can farm out the audit to any private sector. And CUC would have to pay for that audit, so it would be their expense. And they said, well, we checked around and nobody wants to do the audit. It seems like everybody's passing the ball around, but we have done our due diligence by asking OPA under the statute to do a full audit on CUC, desk, financial, everything. And it's been over almost 2 years. And I even CC'd the legislature to give the CPUC help in this issue. I put pressure on either the governor or OPA to follow the statute that we try to follow ourselves. So again, Chairman, I do appreciate you bringing this up, but again, we have to be frank about this. There should be an audit. I fully agree. And it can be done. I'll leave it to the chairman.
And when he refers to the statute, our enabling statute indicates that when we make a request to OPA to audit one of our regulated entities, that they shall do it. They don't have an option. They don't have discretion. So that's what we've been asking and requesting of OPA is look at, you've got this mandate under law that as soon as you get a request from us, please do it. And they just haven't been able to do it. So I appreciate your comments on that audit. We agree with you. We feel that there needs to be an audit of CUC for all of these items like this. I'm not sure what the legislature has done with respect to bringing the public auditor's office into the chambers for a hearing to address not all of their activities, but their activities with respect to an audit of CUC. And that would be encouraged from us if we could get that kind of a help from the legislature. We appreciate it. And your position is still with the utility committee, right, in the House? Okay. So that's within your bailiwick of items to be able to deal with, of issues to be able to deal with. So that's all I have to say in response to your comments, and I want to thank you for that.
Can I just say one thing about that?
Sure.
So this is my experience from, businesses that, the cost of them doing business, right? They have to understand, like I said, again, their assets and expenses and liabilities or debt, whatever it may be. That part of their costs, like part of their overhead is trying to, pay for their, public accounting, right? Their auditors or their, CFO or their, whoever their financial expert is. That's part of the cost of doing business. So I think that, I mean, looking at the law, right, that CUC shall be operated as a business and they shall be, audited, that, it's not just, it's part of doing business. And yes, I believe that, that it should be part of the rates. But I don't think that, CUC should be audited by, their whoever audits them on an annual basis at the same time, pay CUC 1% every year when they're not doing the audits on an annual basis. That doesn't make sense at all. And it's not fair for the ratepayers to be paying for a service that is not being provided. And for OPA to deny movement on the audit and say that we tried to reach out. Who did you try to reach out to? Was there an RFP or ITV or anything that they sent out to look for not just any kind of auditor? You need a utility expert audit. And I know they exist. They're all over the world. So for OPA to say that, they reached out to whoever it is they reached out to and they said, no, I don't believe it. I would love to see a document saying that you actually reached out. So thank you for that.
One last point. Thank you. Excuse me. I think we're on the same page, we being the commission, with you and your last comment, and that is this. And I've said this early on, a year or 2 years ago when the commission first started, and I indicated this to CUC and to Ms. Terlahi when she was the acting executive director. Because this issue of the OPA billing to CUC was sort of up on the table and being discussed. And I indicated that I didn't think it was fair for CUC to have to pay that money when in fact the public auditor's office hasn't performed an audit at all. CUC has to go out and pay for services from private contractor to perform just their annual audit. So that's an issue that I think really needs to understand this, because as you said, it's not fair for the ratepayers to be paying this 1% charge that's bundled into the rates. And I think it's in the current rates. They haven't done anything with the rates since 2014. So it is bundled in, they're paying for it, but nobody's getting the service. So it's a free ride for OPA. So thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate it.
There's 5 or 6.
Oscar, your mic's on. Could you mute your mic? Any other public comment? All right, we'll move on the agenda. I want to indicate that we've been in public comment for over an hour and a half now, which is a little unusual, but not objectionable. I mean, we appreciate having these public comments and hearing from the public on various issues. As I indicated early on, we're going to recess at 12 and come back at 2 for lunch. So we don't have much time to go on through the agenda. What I would like to do, commissioners, Commissioner Mendiola, Commissioner Camacho, Commissioner Kittigwa, I'd like to be able to go down to the agenda, which is now old business for the Odin complaint. Since Mr. Odin is here and his attorney is here, deal with how we're gonna how should I say, preliminarily deal with that right now while they're here, so that they don't have to wait for, and probably even come back at 2 o'clock to deal with this very short issue. So commissioners, is it all right if we sort of vary from the agenda and deal with that particular issue right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Objection.
Yes, Chairman.
Chairman.
Mr. Kittigawa,
Yes, Chairman. Go ahead.
Mr. Macho,
Yes.
Mr. Angelo? Okay. CUC. And, maybe Mr. Oden, he's out there, he can come in just so he can hear this. I'm not gonna ask for any discussion from him, but I just, so he can understand what's going on. He's sitting out there now. If he wants to come in. Mr. Oden? Mr. Oden's out there now.
That's his assistant.
Pardon?
That's his assistant. She's driving.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Break, local club free? Can you? Where we go? Saan na 60 there? Natalo na bato mo yun eh. So, ano na pala break time?
Mr. Oden, you can sit down here. I'm not gonna ask you to comment. I'm not gonna ask you to talk, but you can sit down here while we deal with this issue. As I indicated in my correspondence, I received a complaint from Mr. Odom on behalf of Blue Lagoon. I received it on February the 2nd, 2026. It is voluminous. It hasn't, after reviewing that, and especially the decision of Judge Tenorio, Superior Judge Tenorio, that's part of that package. And based on my position as chairman of the commission and the authority that's been given to me by the commissioners early on to deal with various CUC matters on behalf of the commission, I'm finding that the complaint provides a prima facie case for us to consider. And I'd like to tell Mr. Ernst, I don't know who's going to do it, Mr. Ernst or Miss No, that I'm looking at this complaint under Rule 13 and Rule 14. And Rule 13.1 says that if there is a prima facie case that's been established of an unlawful or unreasonable act or an omission on behalf of a regulated entity, then we can consider this an actual complaint and take action on it. Okay? If it's so found under Rule 13.2, so found, then service of a copy. I can't even read my own writing. I should bring it up on the rules. Okay, service of copy should be provided to the regulated entity, and they be giving 20 days to answer that from the time of, supposedly from the time of filing. Here's how I'm going to handle this. As you heard earlier, I requested Mr. Oden to serve a copy of his complaint on CUC before the end of next week. Okay, I'm going to take Friday, next Friday, as the start of that 20-day period. Now you've got several options to deal with. You can, under Rule 14, you can take steps to satisfy the issue that's brought forth in the complaint, or you can file an answer, or you can provide to the commission a statement of relief for something it's willing to offer before we actually set this for some kind of a hearing conference. So within that 20 days, CUC has the ability to say, okay, there's been a complaint established that we are going to take action on, and here's what we're going to do with it, okay? Versus a general denial. Take a look at 13.1, 13.2, Rule 14, and deal with that. If we file something with us as well as with Mr. Oden, if you feel that if what I'm looking at is I'm looking at Judge Tenorio's decision, which to me is pretty clear. I mean, that's a large 28-page decision, I think, something like that. It's pretty clear on providing instructions to CUC as what they have to do, and that's the Coca-Cola case, to remedy that case. And I think Mr. Oden's case is very similar to the Coca-Cola case. I'll let you talk in a minute. So I'm not going to argue it. I'm not going to look at the merits of the case now. That's not the purpose of the discussion here right now. The purpose is to determine how this is going to be set up. So if you look at his complaint, you look at the attachments that he has to the complaint, and I'm going to consider his letter to us as the complaint that meets the requirements of Rule 13. If you look at it and say, okay, this is what we're going to do in compliance with Judge Tenorio's order as it relates to Mr. Oden's case, fine, then we don't have to do anything. If you're going to actually provide that relief, and as I see it, the issue is Mr. Oden, as he indicated today, has never received an actual billing. He's only gotten demand letters. So under Judge Tenorio's decision, it appears that CUC has to issue billings that can be disputed. And if it's going to be billings for back billing, there has to be some kind of a mechanism or formula that's used and described on how you got to the number that's being back billed and being billed out. So that's about it. So you should be hearing from Mr. Oden or his attorney, Mr. Kingman, before the end of next week. You can decide what you want to do under our rules, Rule 13 and Rule 14. And depending on what that is, we'll determine what we're going to do with it after that. Right? So you'll have 20 days from next Friday to indicate to the commission how you're going to handle that. All right? Now, Mr. Ernest, you may comment.
Thank you, Chairman. Just as a point of information, the chairman had said that he had used the basis of Judge Tenorio's decision and order as the basis of your decision moving forward.
Let's clarify. As a basis of my decision to find that there has been a prima facie case.
Correct.
Okay.
Just saying, yeah, I'm not using any prejudgment. Okay. I'm just saying, however, that opinion and order, which has formed the basis of your decision that there's a prima facie case, is currently, I believe, on appeal to the CNMI Supreme Court.
Okay. So, I don't know of any preclusion that prevents this body from doing something while it's on appeal. I appreciate that. But I think what's on appeal is the decision between CUC and Coca-Cola.
Yes.
So,
but I believe the commission would be using that as a basis for Mr. Oden's complaint. I believe we basically prevailed in that case, but are appealing the decision that the commission is now using to state that he's suffered it.
No, I said he provided a prima facie case. I don't know whether his case is valid or not. They haven't made any decision on it. I don't know if he suffered an injury or not. I'm just saying that what he has provided in his complaint to us, the written complaint, when you throw it next to Judge Tenorio's decision, makes it clear, even without her decision, makes it clear that there's probably a prima facie case that he's presented to us for consideration as a complaint about a regulated entity.
Okay. We are on appeal and we may have limited abilities to fight here while we're fighting.
Well, it's not the same appeal, right? It's not the same case. So,
yes, sir.
It is what it is. All right. Mr. Oden, that's how we're going to handle that right now. Okay?
Very much.
It doesn't mean you're going to succeed. Doesn't mean you're going to fail. Just means that right now, that's how we're going to deal with this as a commission.
I'd just like to say at least thank you for your time and thank you for everyone's attention. And I feel that, we have the opportunity for justice to be done. That's all we can ask for in our democratic judicial system. Thank you, everyone, for hearing our case and giving us our time, our opportunity to speak out. Something that we felt was out of kilter and wrong. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Let's go back to the normal agenda. We got reports from committees. Mr. Angelo, you have a report?
Short IT&E, and with business people there. They're mainly concerned about the closures of businesses. Yeah. They didn't pinpoint exactly, but just there seems to be a bleak picture for the CNI. Docomo, say2 are in the same situation, and this NTIA decision, IT&E said that it's already a done deal. TIA. I asked them a black and white document saying such, that they have ruled completely on this matter, IT&E's favor. And he said he would provide that to us. And I said, I'm not going to prejudge or win or whatever, but you're saying that you won, but that's just verbally. I wanted to see that, commission be submitted to you, the chairman, a decision out of NTIA. And then for Docomo, if there is no decision, then it's still going to matter under a protest. Okay. That's the main issue that's ongoing between the two entities. Okay. And the other issue is down below that I'll cover.
Okay, that's for me. Thank you. Mr. Kittigwa, all the way over there on Rhoda. Any report on Rhoda?
Not at this time. Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Mendiola, all the way on Tinian. What's going on over there? Do you have anything to report? I know you're not a member of any of our subcommittees, but it's always interesting to hear what may be going on Tinian. Any information?
Yeah, not at this time, Chair. I think just need a little bit more time to get the pulse of the situation here.
Yes. Yeah, I just spoke with the chairman and he agrees. Commissioner Mendiola, Commissioner Kittigwa is the vice chairman representing Rhoda. We want to give you the same title, vice chairman representing Tinian. This would give you extra leverage if you had to meet with the mayor or any people there in consort with our dealings with CPUC. So again, I move that we take a vote on making Mr. Mendiola vice chairman of Tinian.
All right, is there a second?
So move. No.
I second.
Any
Okay.
further discussion?
No.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Mendiola, you now carry a title of vice chair, Tinian.
Wonderful. Is there a badge involved or anything?
There's some work about when we come to Tinian and do a meeting, you're gonna have to organize that, and you probably end up sharing it for a little while as well.
Gotcha. Understood.
Put it on your business card.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so you see now, Mr. Watson, you understand Mr. Mendiola has some authority from the commission as a vice chairman on Tinian to be able to pick some queries and have some discussions with your staff on Tinian. That's all right? Thank you. Mr. Camacho, any report from you?
Nothing from the last meeting, but I do have a small inquiry. I saw a news article that spoke about CUC was requesting for $700 million from the federal government, but that article that I was reading, it didn't have any quotations from CUC. Just so I was just wondering if it was if it was just fake news or it was actual CUC's in trying to get federal funding an amount of like $700 billion for, I don't know, it didn't mention if it was a power plant or engines.
Mr. Watson, do you have any information on that? Is there a request for 700 million?
Yes,
Okay,
700 plus.
okay, and that is for,
For mostly revolving around new engines, power, concrete power poles, SCADA improvements, the administration building, which would be the command center for the SCADA. They've asked us to put out an ask with no limit.
is that is that 700 million solely for CUC?
Yes,
And is it a federal grant or is
Yeah.
is it
combination of federal grants.
all federal? Is there any matching part of
No.
that? Oh, good.
Yeah, we put it on the portal. The old LDCC portal.
Okay. Estimation.
And we've had other, just about every branch of the federal government, reaching out to me.
Okay.
Saying they want to help CMI. So it's unprecedented.
So will this come as one lump sum or will it come as several?
No, it won't,
Smaller
it's not guaranteed.
Okay.
Nothing's guaranteed. We put on a number of asks. And then they will, evaluate those and evaluate it, and with the funding through the federal government grant funding agencies. And we're actually going there to make our case next week.
Okay. And will this grant be given to the government and then the governor's office then gives it to you to administer? So you in essence have to go through the grant funding office?
Each grant funding agency acts differently and have their own set of rules. So some of it could, like EPA grants, come directly to CUC.
Right.
OIA goes through the governor's state.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
I can't really answer that, how they want to give the money or help CNMI, but it's not just CUC asking, CNMI's making their own ask.
Okay.
DPW is making their own ask, CPA is making their own ask, CCC is making their own ask, everybody's making an ask.
Okay.
Is there a time frame?
And then everybody's making an AS,
AST, okay, yeah.
not an ASS.
Yeah.
Mr. Watson, you said OCC, right? Is
Yeah,
where you're
OLDC.
making the request?
And this has been, I guess, they've reached out to CNMI, similar how Guam was reached out to, 18, 19 years ago.
Okay. So that would mean the CBMA would be the ones that will be submitting on your behalf, and I guess you guys would be the sub-recipient along with the other people making requests like
Well,
DPW.
No, I didn't say that. We have entered on the portal independent.
Okay. Okay.
Tentative times?
Yes. Yeah.
Is there a time frame? Just a rough estimate? I don't know.
No,
All right. For me, as I indicated during correspondence, I've issued 3 opinions on behalf of the commission. I have the authority to issue those opinions. One, to accept the rate petition, which we agreed to. One that I did to basically start the dockets, give the dockets over to our hearing administrator to begin dockets. And one for the net metering requirement that the reconciliation be done within 3 months or late. I started at 3 months from January. You know what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a blank, senior blank moment now. Unbelievable. You know, every once in those things.
It's a neutral.
Yeah, I'd like to get, I can't remember the term. I mean, it's the simplest term where you acknowledge my actions.
Yeah.
What's it called?
That's
Agree, just agree to, there's a term for it. What I'd like to get from the commissioners now is a
Sentiment?
no. What's the term? This no knows the term. What's that term to acknowledge and authorize prior action?
Let's see.
Oh, I have it.
Huh?
I have it.
Okay.
Ratify.
Ratify, thank you. There, I'm glad, I'm not bad. So can
I
I
can't
get a
take credit, it was
ratification, a
Miss
motion
Betty
of
Blunt.
ratification from the commission on ratifying the 3 orders? All of you got copies of those orders. Ratifying my position and signing those on behalf of the commission as the chairman.
So move.
We read these.
3 issues for the chairman. Motion to ratify my actions in issuing those orders and decisions.
So move.
Second? To the motion?
Seconded.
Okay, motion to second. Any further discussion? I think everybody's seen the orders.
No.
I haven't heard anything from anyone, including CUC, that I made any wrong statements concerning what happened during the meetings or anything. So, there's no further discussion. Is there a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Aye.
All right. The other thing that I did is, I caused, ads to be placed in the paper for an attorney position. And not an in-house attorney, but an outside attorney, and also for a part-time administrative assistant. That's per our prior discussions. So that's been done now. And, I don't know, have we received anything in the mail? In response? Nothing yet. So those ads are only a week and 2 weeks old. I had it published last week and this week.
Yeah.
Okay. That's about it for my report right now. Any other comments from my commissioners on anything to report?
no.
No,
No.
we'll move on.
No.
Yeah. Let's do a monthly update on the genset reserve account.
I'll let Betty speak on that.
Okay.
That's all. Oh.
Okay. I'll take one more from Mr. Angelo. Thank you.
As of January 15th, latest payment received on arrears from CPUC. 675,000 is now in the genset reserved account.
Okay. And this payment on the 15th, is that in line with their agreement to pay?
The payment is due on the 10th,
Okay,
and then they have a 2-week grace period before they're issued a disconnection.
what does one genset cost? We're talking about, what is it, what's the Greco, is that an 8 megawatt or is it a
No,
12
it's only
megawatt?
one.
Or 1.5, yeah.
It's only one,
There's
and there's
12
12.
acres.
You've got 12 units, that's where I had the 12 in one.
Yeah.
So one, how much does the
One
one
megawatt.
cost?
Well, we wouldn't just get 1 megawatt, we would go for 2.5 for, well, that's what we're advertising soon under a grant that we received from OIA. So the estimated cost is 2.5 million. The staff seems to think that it's gonna cost more. Or possibly. could cost.
Confused now. The whole purpose of setting this account is so we could start knocking off the Greco generators one by one.
Yeah, and when we put the 3 generators, a year and a half ago, that total cost was between 8.5 and $30 million. And we wanted to award the lowest one, which was the most responsive at about 8.5 million for 3 generators. And the one that protested was 30+ million.
But you're talking about generators going into the power plant.
That's what we're talking about here.
We are talking about reducing your Greco rental, which now, for example, we have a change order.
To reduce it by 6 generators.
But that's down the road, because by the time you get those in there, I mean, now you could can you buy a 1 megawatt generator? Tell Greco to, like now, when the change order is up, say, look at, okay, we'll give you your change order, we'll extend it, but now we're not gonna pay for 12, we're only gonna pay for 11. Because we got one of our own out here.
The
That's the
Greco
whole idea of
engines
this.
are very inefficient. We're not wanting to go backward. We want to go forward with a more efficient engine. And that's why we're looking to buy
I
that 2.5
understand.
megawatt, 3 meg.
But by the time you get that in, buy it, you get it here, you put it on, look how long it's taking you to put that one engine in the power plant already. Couple of years, right? That you had issues with last issue with the foundation.
That's another engine.
You
It's
had,
not the same engine.
I know it, but you had, that's what I'm talking about. Every time you get an engine, it looks like you should be able to put it in, and I'm not yelling at you. I apologize if it sounds like I'm yelling.
No, I can hear you.
That's not.
It helps.
It seems like every time you get an engine, the process should be quick, but it ends up being delayed for one reason or another.
It,
And you didn't have a crane to be able to move the engine from the field into the power plant. You don't have a foundation that's going to handle the new engine.
well, the foundation is an existing engine,
Right.
and that will be completed within a month.
But the issue for us, I'm gonna wait till my vice gov comes back. Answer you want.
Per megawatt.
That's the answer.
Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the answer to your question is about between $1 million and $1.5 million per megawatt.
Okay,
That's the answer.
okay, great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's if you buy a multi-megawatt engine.
That I don't know.
Yes,
I asked
that's a
before.
big engine. I'm trying to find out what it costs for just one of those 1 megawatt gen sets.
We will reach out to Greco and find out.
Okay. Well. They were on 1, at 12 ones.
12 ones.
Now, while you were gone, what I was told was they're at 675 now. I asked him how much a 1 megawatt generator would cost. with my understanding, and you can correct me, my understanding was this is set up so that we could knock off our Greco generator one by one and reduce the rental cost.
Plus,
Maybe I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing from them is they're waiting. They're gonna get a grant to purchase an engine to put in the power plant, which is a multi-megawatt engine.
that grant could be years from now.
Well, or whatever, but my understanding is the whole purpose of this, maybe I'm wrong, the whole purpose of this, setting up this reserve generator fund, it's just like it is, a reserve generator, so that we can knock off the Greco, reduce the Greco rental cost.
Plus, in, going through the old minutes, the update, that there was a close to 14 megawatts being put back online for the finishing of the concrete pad and the fixing of the one with a cooling system. We need to know in black and white how many megawatts are going to be available. They said they'd be available December, January, and we're in February. And I want, clear how many megawatt of those engines can be knocked off with this new renegotiation for another year, like 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, that's what's stated.
So you'll be just leasing 6 engines on this change order?
Yeah. Cutting the price about half.
Can we get a breakdown like for those other 4? I know they're part of it is for backup, correct? The ones you put back online?
It's to keep us from rolling brownouts.
Okay. So if we get something, would be okay in black and white, just a breakdown,
Yeah,
plan of action.
we'll discuss that, it's on the agenda, later on. We just got your request for approval 2 days ago, I think it was, on that. So, we're not gonna consider it this meeting, obviously, it's too short a time. And you have until the end of May.
Yeah.
Before that contract expires. So
Yeah.
We'll act on it and work on it, between now and the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, that information is good, because I didn't see that in your petition. Maybe I just missed it. I haven't read it thoroughly because we just got it and I was busy working on other stuff. Is it in your request that you're gonna lose 6 of those?
Yes, sir, but I think it could have been written more clearly. But just so you know what to look out for when you review the petition again. Open up. All right, so in the petition, if you go to page 3, under contract price specifics.
Okay.
It compares, the change order would be at about 1 million kilowatt hours offtake. And it compares that to the original contract, which is at about 2 million kilowatt hours offtake. So that's, the 2 million is a representative of the 12 megawatts, or the 12 1 megawatt gen sets, and then the 1 million represents just half of that, so 6 of the 1 megawatt gen sets. So I probably should have written it more clearly in there, but that's a change of going down from 12 to 6 of those little 1 megawatt gen sets.
Is the cost savings estimate calculations just based on the 6 megawatts, comparing that to other generation you would use if you didn't have the 6?
Dr. Hellman, could you repeat your question, please?
So you have I think it's a worksheet in the back, and you have a cost savings as to, why you should be doing this. And the question is the cost savings estimate just based on the 6 megawatts compared to your other alternatives, or is it looking at 12 versus 6?
12 versus 6.
Should we have the engineer answer?
Yeah, he's there right there.
Richard?
Richard, can you come up?
So while he's doing that, I would just say if you're doing a cost savings estimate, I think it ought to be 6 megawatts versus what your alternative is. I know you're saving money going from 12 to 6, but if you're doing the 6, why is the 6 better than something else?
The alternative would be rolling brownouts. But we would definitely save on that by
Yeah, but that's saying that,
rolling brownouts.
that you have no other alternative other than doing the 6 megawatts.
No, we don't.
Pretty interesting. I was just trying to understand that cost savings framework.
Did you want our engineer, Richard Cano, to kind of explain that chart that you're referring to? We have him here at the table.
Can you explain it, Richard?
If the chair is interested in hearing that.
Chair's not even here.
Yeah, he stepped out.
Maybe it's okay, Richard. If we need you.
Okay. For a record, would it basically be a kind of lower class if you're just piece about
Yeah, that's what.
funding?
Roughly.
No, they're moved 6.
They just cut half, my first year, basically.
It's not exactly like half.
More?
No, it's not more.
It's under contract pricing specifics in the petition. You want to take a look at it?
I just want basic. I'm looking at it like when the public sees it, it all works out okay.
If I could just correct something I told the chairman in your absence for the record. I just went to Google. You want to know just a 1 megawatt generator.
Million, wasn't it?
I thought it was 1.5. This says a 1 megawatt diesel generator from a nice company would cost between 3.2 and 3.5 mil. While one from a nearly good supplier would cost between $103,000 and $105,000. Obviously, Google has no clue. So we won't know until
that nice company doesn't have a nice price.
yeah. So we won't know until we bid it out. And
Sure.
again, we are stuck procuring with whoever the lowest responsive bidder is.
They meet your specs though.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, so things do cost more out here.
All right. Okay, we just, director just mentioned that it'd be half, maybe a little bit less than that the first year. So, okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, we'll get into
I don't know if that's actually accurate, so
It's
I'm
not exactly
pulling up
half.
I don't want us to misrepresent anything to the commission, so if you, in answering Dr. Angelo's question, so I'm gonna pull up the exact numbers for you now, just so we're not speculating.
where are you looking?
See, I'm gonna compare the original contract price with the change order price, so you just have exact numbers, instead of us saying, oh, it's about 50%, or it's about.
Have you agreed to a
60 or
change order
40.
already?
No, we're waiting for
Yeah.
commission approval.
The boards agreed though.
The board's given permission for management to try to get approval from CPUC for a change order.
So if you went through the, time
I
up.
thought your price per kilowatt hour went up.
If you went through
We-
negotiate with the go on a change. order?
We've gotten a quote from
Okay,
It's a quote.
but you haven't agreed to anything.
No,
Oh, here it
no,
is.
we can't.
Procurement 11 dash 20. Okay, so Dr. Angelo, since you asked, the contract price for a Greco under the existing contract, 3.9 million. 3.9 million for 52 weeks. And then under this kind of proposed draft change order that nothing is actually set in stone yet, based on just a quotation that was given by a Greco for the change order number 1, and nothing's been negotiated yet. It looks like it's 2.2 million for 52 weeks.
you're not gonna be at 52 weeks anymore. You're gonna be at a lesser number of weeks. So that's one of the elements of the reduction of the price.
Why not look at the per cents per kilowatt hour price with the minimum take? I thought the cents per kilowatt hour price went up.
It did go up, yes. Cents per kilowatt hour price went up from 0.0375 to 0.0419, just based on the quotation.
So 0.7305.
0.0375 kilowatt hours or cents per kilowatt hours.
Okay.
And then under this current quotation for change order number 1, 0.0419 kilowatt hours.
Okay. That's
So
quite
it's
a half
not
a
quite
cent.
half, not quite at half, but perhaps negotiable.
All right. Well, we're starting to get into actually reviewing this.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that today.
Dr. Angela just had a question.
But we needed to know that information. We needed to know that information as we do our review. We need that. So that's the kind of information when we start talking about this at the next meeting we need. It's 12 o'clock, as I indicated. You weren't here, Miss. No, I don't think. I indicated we were going to break at 12 and go come back at 2. So we'll take a break, a recess now. It's now 12 o'clock.
I just asked, did the genset account, and we have I'll come back and do an update on all the generator. Remember, we included that in part of the account.
Yeah, I think it's on the agenda, right? An update on,
This says, gen monthly update and reserve account.
like I found it was somewhere else about condition or. Maybe
We'll put it in.
we can, yeah, you'll be here.
Change order number 1 to the Agreco contract is an agenda item. It's under G41.
Right. Like I was going to indicate during that time is we weren't going to deal with it. Because
Okay.
we just got it.
Okay,
We're just gonna let you know that we got it and we'll be dealing with it down the road. So it wasn't going to be any.
got it. No problem, yeah. We know we need to give you at least a month to review these things.
But on,
We're
you're supposed to give us 40 days.
Oh,
Yeah, 40 under our rule.
Right.
Sharon, did you want the hard copies of my motion
We'll get to your motion, guys, fine. Yeah,
and what I said yesterday? I have hard copies of it as well.
okay, good. Get to that this afternoon. All right, gentlemen, on Zoom, I'm gonna end this now, but I'll open it back up at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask.
So you don't, I'm not gonna keep the Zoom meeting open. But you'll be able to use the same link and everything to come back on.
Great.
All right,
Thank you, Chair.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rizala,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you. Okay.
Brad, thank you for staying on so long. I know it's probably boring stuff for you. But thank you.
Not at all. This is great. Thanks. We'll see you later.
Okay.
Commissioner,
what is, I think their name is Ernst.
Commissioner Mendiola, what's your PO box number?
All right, folks. You can hear that they are going to break up, and they'll be back again at 2 o'clock for the afternoon session. They're gonna come up with a bunch of some of the other topics that are on there on the meeting. So you guys are familiar with some of that. We've had the agenda on the screen the whole time, so you can watch as they go through it. And if you have any questions about it, fire away. We'll put that up there. In fact, let's see. Can I put this up here now? Just to see if you could say, you know what we'll end up doing, we'll just come back later. You'll be able to see all those things for yourself when we get back. So go enjoy yourself some lunch here in Saipan. Not sure what your plans are, but think about Enid's Kitchen. They're awesome. Today's the best day of all their lunch special days. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.